welcome to Inner Space family and a very warm welcome to all our online viewers. Do anybody know today's this evening's theme? Declutter. What is declutter? Cleaning. Wow, that's good. Anything else? Any other guess? Digital declutter. Yeah, digital declutter. We all use all digital platform, this, that, and the others. But digital declutter is very important in our daily life as well. And for that, we have our guest speaker, Gil Fernandes, with us. Gil born in Portugal and studied music in Austria. Before moving into software development, active in the IT industry since 2000. So he's the perfect speaker for this evening. Also, he worked across sectors in aerospace and telecommunications. In 2007, relocated to London to join an IT firm. So not taking much of your time. Please, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the introduction. Does it sound okay? Okay. Yes, I work as a software developer, and I've been working with computers now quite intensively for the last 25 years. And it has been quite a very interesting journey. So when I spoke here with Dakshaben, I really told her, I think that's a good topic for myself, because I also need it for myself. I need to think about this topic. Because when you work in IT, this actually affects the way you think, the way you feel, the way you dream, and it also affects your relationships. So working in IT specifically, it has a big impact on the way you actually think. Some things are good, some things are not so good about working in IT. I think some people here also in the audience, I think they're also from the IT field, and they perhaps can understand what I'm talking about. Okay, so today's topic is actually digital declutter, like it was already mentioned before. Let me see if the device is working. This is our very simple agenda. So first of all, we are going to talk about what is digital declutter, what are the problems that you have with digital media very often, because sometimes people are aware of these problems, sometimes they are not. So I'm going to talk a little bit, like 20 minutes, about digital problems, or about the problems with digital media. And we have actually different types of digital media today, which I'll refer to. So, and with this kind of division, I will just go through the problems of different types of media, right? And there are, of course, different types of this clutter with different types of media. Then I'll talk a little bit about the mind, the intellect, and the subconscious mind, because I want actually to connect what is happening with digital media and connect it with the concept of the soul, of how we actually work internally. But I'm not talking about the organs of the body, not something physical, but I'm talking about mind, intellect, and the subconscious mind. In Hindi, there is this word sanskars, which is a very beautiful word, but in English, it's better to use subconscious mind so that everyone actually understands what I'm talking about. And then we'll talk about practical steps for decluttering, for dealing with digital media, and to improve our emotions, the way we feel, okay, the way we think. And finally, yeah, I have been developing my own form of meditation to reduce symptoms of stress. And I apply it on myself, and I can just basically tell you what I actually do in meditation. In Raja Yoga meditation, we don't have only one technique of meditation, right? We have different techniques. And sometimes some techniques work better for you and other techniques work less well for you, let's say so. And so I have been doing a lot of experimentation in terms of meditation techniques. And I'm just going to tell you about my experience with which meditation technique works best for me as an IT person who is, let's say, sometimes mentally hyperactive. Yeah. Okay. So, but first of all, let's try to understand digital declutter. And I'll just go through different types of media that we have out there in the digital sphere and talk about the problems that I actually recognize. Okay. So the first type of digital media that we have is actually social networks. And social networks are related to products like Facebook, X, or other social networks out there, even YouTube, you could consider to be a social network. Then there are different types of social networks like LinkedIn, which is more for professionals, for example. Yeah. And obviously things like Instagram and TikTok are also social media platforms. And social media platforms have some algorithms which are types of routines, of programs, of behaviors, let's say so, that are there to recommend content to you. And so in the past, when I would read a book, for example, and I would consume information, I would just read the book. So the book would not be reacting the whole time to my personal preferences, to my gender, to my queries, to my activities. And so the book would basically just have the story, and the story would just go on, independent of my activities or profile. But what these social networks actually do, they do profile you, and they are always observing your behavior. So suddenly we come from a world of books, a world of static information, into a world in which the media is adapting itself like a chameleon the whole time to you. And so what happens here is that when you start interacting with Facebook, there is this routine behind Facebook, this algorithm. And this algorithm is just picking the right content for you the whole time. Now, for us, it's like looking into a kind of a mirror. Suddenly, I'm just, for example, if I'm interested in cricket, for example, just an example. I'm not really interested about cricket so much because I'm European. But for example, someone in India, and this person is interested in cricket and performs a search and gets lots of cricket results. Okay, the day goes, next day comes back to YouTube, opens YouTube, and what he sees there, what does he see there? Videos about cricket. And so this is like this type of media that is adapting to you the whole time. And we are not used to it. This is something that we didn't have for 2000 years. Media was not something that would be adapting to ourselves for 2000 years. And suddenly you have this type of social networks that are actually putting content in front of our noses, and this content is adapted to our profile. So we're being profiled the whole time. For example, if I ask something about cooking, what will happen? You'll get more and more and more videos about cooking. Yeah. And so what happens here is that you have some kind of cyclic effect. So for example, imagine that I'm interested in some politics about something, yeah? And I start consuming those politics. Next time I go to YouTube, I see again more politics of that. And so there is this kind of reinforcement effect in this type of media. And also there is another thing that is happening to us. It is a kind of a segregation. So your YouTube is not my YouTube. What you see on YouTube, for example, what you see is not what I see. What you see is not what I see. So basically, there is this kind of segregation. Segregation means that people get separated into information bubbles. So it's not like the classic media of newspaper, everyone gets the same news. It's like you get news tailored to yourself. So what is going to be created there is this kind of segregation. And segregation means that you are in a bubble and that this bubble becomes more and more consistent over time. And so you have to be aware of that. We are not used to this. For 2,000 years, we didn't have this kind of thing. Information was actually, okay, some information was not freely available. There are also secrets of state, obviously. But normally, information would be the same for everyone. Like if you open a newspaper, that's what you are used to. Like even 20 years ago, we didn't have these kind of things. This is new. And this actually creates problems that we are going to talk about later on, okay? So basically, there's two ideas here for media. One is the idea of information segregation. And another idea is that you get into this kind of reinforcement loop. Yeah. So, for example, if you like ideas on the right-wing type of politics, and you are a little bit like that, you start basically going into a kind of a spinning wheel that will reinforce, it will give you more and more reinforcement of those ideas. And at a certain point, every time you open Facebook, what might happen, if you go on and on and on and on and on, the ideas get more and more radical. That's one of these kind of problems. So reinforcement is a problem, segregation is another problem. So we are dealing with types of media that are, in a sense, it's a revolution, but people sometimes don't even notice that. So I'm talking about this. So that's one of the problems. The other problem is in social networks, I can go and say, I can fly. Obviously, I can't fly, right? That's, yeah, and I can even manipulate some videos, and if I'm good at video editing and special effects, I can make myself fly like Superman, yeah? So this is obviously not true, right? But everyone can spread out basically stuff that is not true, because there is very often in many of these social media platforms, there is no filter for reality. So you get lots of fake stuff. So this also creates a lot of stress, actually. But this cognitive stress, because you are looking at something and sometimes it is so well made that you don't know, is this true? Is this false? Yeah. So that's another problem. So till now we have already three problems: segregation of information, reinforcement loops, and the third one is definitely, is it true? Is it not true? Is this reality or is it fake? Yeah. And this constant thing is hard to detect. Then you also have some very irritating things. You know, in social media, many of the content creators, they get paid by the number of clicks. And so they create very sensationalistic kind of news, like this will be the end of, this is a revolution, or they have this kind of language, which is very, very much kind of, driving sensations or something like that. Basically trying to capture people clicking on it. They don't care about the content so much. They care about only, does this attract lots of people so that they get lots of clicks. So they get a lot of clickbaits. That's another one. And this creates also a lot of stress, because when you open YouTube, one thing that kind of, you know, always draws my attention is like the titles are so kind of like, oh, big revolution. This will change something forever. This is, this will die off. This will, you know, if you look at the titles, they are very, very kind of, you know, like alarm, something new, click here type of thing. So this creates also a lot, if you consume lots of this media, this creates all this, this kind of feeling, oh, something is always happening, that's a revolution or something like that. And very often you then click on it and then it's like boring, yeah? But you clicked on it, that's what people wanted. That's called the clickbait problem on social networks. Then there's lots of advertisement. These platforms are actually driven by advertisement, as we know. And then what also these platforms also propagate is a lot of kind of unrealistic role models. This affects the way people perceive themselves. Also, that's a very big problem, I think, because they show, for example, bodies of people that are not real, or people show off very often wealth that they don't have. So this is also this problem of fake or not fake. But this influences actually people. And if you look at, for example, if you start consuming on YouTube videos about beauty, yeah, then you'll get lots of extremely beautiful people, unrealistically beautiful people the whole time. And then you look at yourself and you kind of find, oh, I'm just this poor duckling. And you start feeling bad about yourself. So this has a psychological effect, and especially because it's like everybody's beautiful, right? Because of this kind of, remember what I said before, if the content is like always, tailored to you, they will give you the whole time extremely beautiful people. And then you only see beautiful people around you. And you think, why am I so ugly, right? So this affects your self-esteem, can affect your self-esteem, and can create also lots of problems. Why am I so fat when everybody that I see on YouTube is actually so super mega slim, yeah? So these great toned bodies and blah, blah, blah. So that's also a problem. So basically you get a distorted vision of reality also there. So these are some of the problems. And then also one thing that there is propaganda channels on YouTube, just for you guys to know. There's some states that are just using it for propaganda. So, and that's also a very, very big problem. So there are people there out there on YouTube, they are just trying to, kind of influence others. They are not trying to inform you. Another type, so in social media, unfortunately, I see a lot of clutter that is actually designed to kind of affect us. And it does affect us if you consume it. I'm not saying that it is all bad, but there are lots of things that are dangerous, let's say. So in social media, there are also good things because, for example, if you are interested in education and you only look at educational videos, you get swamped with them. Good for you, yeah? But if you fall basically on the wrong tracks of it, you might end very often in very dark places. These recommendations algorithms are like this kind of reinforcement machines that will reinforce something. If you start a little bit, on the dark side, it will go and go and go and go and go and go. And this is called this kind of, this rabbit hole kind of problem. Anyway, so emails, okay, emails are not so problematic, just basically. But emails can also be quite stressful and be part of this clutter. Specifically, there are some people with bad communication habits that put urgent on all the emails, right? And then this causes a lot of stress to other people. Yeah, I actually knew a couple of people in the past that would put always urgent in the subject, like you have to do it fast, ASAP, whatever. Don't do it. This causes stress, actually, specifically on people who are very busy already. Spam is always a very nasty thing. You know what it is, basically unwanted advertisement. And then there are also emails where you don't know if it's true or someone is actually trying to get your money. So that's also there. That's also causes stress. Anyway, then, WhatsApp. Wonderful tool, right? Very practical. But the problem is that people put you on channels, you're not interested about these channels, and they keep on peeping the whole time, distracting you. Also, this pressure to reply as soon as possible in instant messengers, yeah, because people actually know if you looked at it or not. Yeah, so this also can create some stress, yeah. And also there is a thing about these messengers. Some of these messengers, as soon as you install it, they read your address book and send it to themselves, and then they start basically targeting you in some ads. Yeah. So, but not you, but the people in your address book, they might be targeted by their ads. Yeah. So there are some shady privacy practices also related, and this actually won't cause you like trouble, but it might actually cause stress for other people. They might start getting advertisements, and they don't know from where it actually came. Yeah, and actually WhatsApp actually does this. So there are shady privacy practices regarding. I'm not saying that all of these tools are bad, but I'm just pointing out the problems that I see in all of these kind of types of media. These are types of new media. Finally, we also have AI, and AI is something completely new. We never had it in 2,500 years for sure. And that's also something that's completely new, and it's, in a sense, it's also disruptive. And it just really started like in 2022, 2023, when these kind of models basically really started to be really used. And we already see some of the effects of artificial intelligence. One of them is that artificial intelligence is extremely good at giving you solutions to problems. And so one of the problems that I see with AI is that you can become a really lazy thinker. So if you have a problem, you can't solve it, go to AI, AI solves it for you. And previous generations would have really to study hard in school and really learn things and memorize and and now you go to AI, AI just writes the whole essay for you in 2 minutes. Something that you would perhaps have done in the past, like 3-4 hours of hard thinking, hard work, and this kind of stuff. So AI might have really, I think, effects on the youth in terms of creating like a generation of lazy thinkers, yeah, which might be a problem. Anyway, other thing is AI is sometimes you don't know if AI is hallucinating, if what the AI is actually spitting out. This is again the same problem that we have with social networks, that AI actually is spitting out something that is probably not right, but sounds right. Even worse, because AI can package it so nicely that it sounds really true, but it's not. And finally, AI is now being used in social networks, you know, to create a lot of content. And sometimes when you go to social networks, sometimes you don't know, is this content generated by AI or not? Is this a person talking like this, or is this person just using it? Is this video real? It's really true right now. AI can generate videos that really look real. And it caught me a couple of times already on YouTube. I went there and I was looking at the video. I was just thinking, these people, they look all a bit strange, very synthetic. And then I actually looked, and this was a generated video. Yeah, and the latest trend is actually these AI assistants that basically they personify people, and you can put an AI behind it, and you can create your AI companion. So basically, instead of having relationships with real people, you start having relationships with digital entities, which is also something completely new. And this, all these kinds of new phenomena, they actually are going to cause you some form of, it's something new. And very often behind all of these platforms, there are commercial interests. So these people want you to get hooked on something. And so these platforms are very often built in a way that they are addictive. So you have to know about this, because where there are typically commercial interests, there is this problem that there is some mechanism there to hook you so that you consume as much advertisement as possible. So what are the psychological impacts and practical impacts of digital clutter? So the psychological effects are definitely cognitive stress, like I explained. So very often when you consume it a lot, when you don't consume it right, it will cause you more and more stress. For example, this kind of feeling, is this true? Is this not true? Of, for example, landing in a virtual reality where everybody is extremely pretty and you're a ugly duckling, for example. So stressed about how you feel about yourself. Cognitive effects are also, our perception of the world gets affected. That's this example of seeing everyone is so beautiful there where I'm so ugly. Everybody's on holiday. I'm working hard because I go to YouTube. I just see influencers. They're all super, chill and relaxed. And I'm working here hard. They're always on holiday. So this kind of totally distorted visions of reality that you sometimes get through these, reinforcement algorithms that you have there and recommendation algorithms. Intellectual effects. you sometimes lose the capability of recognizing what's true, what's false, if you consume it a lot, and your intellect starts to weaken. Now we'll talk about intellect next. And there are also new types of addictive behaviors. So you can get hooked very easily on some types of information because it's fed to you. It reinforces your vision. You can get hooked, for example, on conspiracy theories because they have something they give you some comfort, yeah. And also they help you to understand reality. Also, sometimes these kind of theories also give you the feeling I'm special because I'm the only one who understands this and that, this kind of stuff. So you can get hooked to many of these platforms. Also, don't forget, they were made to be addictive so that you consume a lot of advertisement. So it is almost by design that they have addictive mechanism in them. So I wanted to talk a little bit now about why this actually is like this and try to understand the anatomy of thoughts. And we call it sometimes also anatomy of the soul. So this is directly from the Raj Yoga course. And we are thinking beings, right? In the first place. We think and we have a mind. Let's call this mind, this kind of arena, this place where all the thoughts are being shown, like here, for example. It's like a screen where all the thoughts and images are being displayed, right? So obviously, everyone here has a mind. So you are perceiving this information, something is going into your mind, you think about it, and you have emotions, and then you also will have some kind of intentions associated to it. And so this is the mind. So the mind is actually like this kind of neutral screen. It can actually show bad things, good things. And it's like a play field where there can be extremely beautiful things or extremely bad things or just neutral things around there. So it's not an instance of the self, of the soul that has judgment in it. It is what it is, yeah? Okay. Then we have this instance of the soul or this organ, internal, it's not an organ, but it's like this instance or this capability of the soul in which you can decide whether something is true, false, good, bad, suitable, unsuitable. And this is linked to something that I would call it's your perception of values or moral code. So basically, the intellect is a capability of saying this is good, this is bad. I don't want to do this. I will take this decision. So there are three powers in terms of the intellect. One is the power to discern, which is basically to say, yes, this is good for me, this is bad for me, I want this, I don't want that. So there is this. Then the power to decide, yes, I will do this. And then there is also the power to put in practice or to make something a reality, to realize, let's say so. Sometimes this also entails the power to oppose, yeah. But anyway, these are three powers of the intellect, let's say so. And the intellect is extremely important in your life. And so if the intellect is strong and you have a strong sense of morals, strong values, well-defined picture of what is good and what is wrong, then the intellect will actually normally work very well. But if your sense of morality, your values, they get weakened, they actually the intellect starts not to work very well. And then obviously the intellect is actually what drives action. So I decide, so I get some thought. For example, I'm feeling hungry. Yeah. That comes into the mind. Then I think, okay, if I'm hungry, okay, yes, I'm hungry. Yeah. Okay. You accept that you're hungry. And then you think, yeah, it would be good to eat something. So you decide to eat something. And then you take the step into action and you go and you eat something, right? Okay, so the intellect is what drives action or stops action also. Can be both things. So, and then when you go into action, you execute the action typically with the body. Action can be also speaking to someone about something. And then when you act, then there is always an experience gathered through this action. And this experience are our impressions. So I eat something, it tastes really good. Well, I'm happy. I feel full after that. That's also an impression. Yep. I feel sleepy after that. It's also an impression. All these things are basically impressions. And then whatever has been experienced gets, saved in our memory. So, and it is saved there. It's like saved, but it will actually influence then the way we will perceive reality later on. Yeah. So everything that gets saved in our experience, in our treasure of experience, or in our record of experiences, in our memory of experience, everything that is stored will have an impact later on in the way I feel. So my emotions are affected by whatever I have consumed in the past. And this will affect then how I actually think about things, also how I actually decide, judge, how I discern. So it actually affects the intellect. So what we have here is some kind of cycle. And this cycle is really important to understand, because imagine that you are using digital media and you are consuming videos or other types of blogs or something like that are really related to violence. That's a bad example, but that's okay. Then I will be storing lots of images, lots of ideas related to violence. And this will actually change the way I'm feeling. So it's a little bit like this problem of garbage in, and then my emotions are then bad. It's like you put a lot of litter, garbage into your memory, and this garbage starts to produce some odor, and it's a bad smell. And this bad smell will influence the way you actually are feeling. So in your conscious mind, there will be this kind of emotional pressure of what you have consumed. And so this is very important to understand, because whatever I consume in terms of social media will affect deeply the way I'm feeling, my feelings also. Then there is also another thing. If you are consuming a lot of stuff, the intellect also kind of gets stretched. Because the intellect, consumes something, then the intellect has to judge, okay, was this good? Was this bad? Shall I continue? Shall I not continue? But if you are constantly overflowing the intellect with impressions and more impressions and more impressions and more impressions, at a certain point, the intellect switches off and it kind of goes into some kind of, mode of doing nothing, of letting everything go through. And at this point in time, you are starting to kind of just consume in a frenzy without any control. And this is something that is also one of the phenomena that can also happen with social networks. You start just, like these people who actually drink without any control. You start consuming without control. And this is also something that we actually should all avoid. Yeah, so we should strengthen the intellect every time that we consume something. We need to be aware if this is good, if this is helping me emotionally, or if this is detractive, this is actually bad for my emotional well-being. So the intellect has to be, should be awake. Is this good? Is what I'm consuming actually good for myself? This question should be always there. Otherwise, you might go into this kind of vicious cycle of consumption that switches off your intellectual capability, and you go into this kind of frenzy mode of consumption, which you can't almost stop. And you only then stop when you are absolutely, without energy. So when you are absolutely kind of exhausted, then you basically have to stop. So this is actually quite a good psychological model that we have. And it's important to know this psychological model, that this model tells us that it makes a big difference what we consume, that we need to strengthen our intellectual capability, that we need to be awake when we are consuming something, that we have to ask ourselves, is what I'm consuming helping me or not? Okay? Also, what happens very often is that some type of media is so addictive that we get so entangled in it that we start not paying attention to our relationships. This is also something that happens with this type of media. There's this kind of phenomena in which you kind of distance yourself from other people because you get hooked this type of media. So, okay, let's talk about practical steps for decluttering. And these are these kind of steps that can help us in terms of our digital life. So what I find extremely important is that we have a reserved time, some discipline in terms of our schedule. And this is what I did for myself, that you have a reserved time for digital consumption when you have to deal with it, and that you don't consume digital media during certain hours of the day. So the early morning, I find, is a very important time for you to program yourself to kind of prepare yourself for the day, but not in terms of brushing your teeth or having a shower. That's also important, but I'm not talking directly about that. I'm talking about the mental preparation for the day. And so if you start off and the first thing that you do in the morning is go through your emails just after waking up, you are putting yourself in some kind of stressful mode, because immediately start thinking about work, and you are not allowing yourself to relax. Immediately you are, kind of pumped up with this kind of energy. Okay, I need to deal with this. I need to do this today. And these kind of thoughts, even though they are kind of useful, they actually, they produce stress hormones. At least that's what I feel. So I did this for quite a long time because I'm extremely busy. And so I was immediately looking at my mobile, and I kind of figured out I shouldn't be doing this. Actually, the best thing is just not even to look at it, not even open it, and simply try to meditate in the morning. Just don't open your emails straight for like 1.5 hours at least. Ignore it completely. And people are pinging you, they shall ping. Yeah, but don't. And I think this is quite a good thing, specifically if you're very busy like myself, like in a very kind of, strict work environment where lots of people are coming to your requests, that I understood. If I open up my mobile in the morning as the first thing and start looking through mails, that's something that emotionally kind of just provokes stress. Yeah. So the morning hours should be reserved without, I think, any digital consumption. Yeah. And then also before going to sleep, because I also noticed this before you go to sleep, for example, if you're, I'm a software developer, and sometimes I was coding till very late at night. That seems to be a very kind of bad habit of software developers, like code at night. You go to sleep, and the dreams that you have there are exactly related to problem solving. Very often I would see myself in front of the computer trying to solve a problem, and I couldn't solve it, and I couldn't so my dream would be like going on and on and on like this, that I was trying to solve the problem, doing something, the dream, again it would fail, and again it would fail, and again it would fail. So but this was because previously, before going to sleep, I was actually trying to develop software and solve problems. So then I decided, no, I won't have my You want to say something?
Yeah, I just realized when you had that experience, did any solutions come?
Rarely I would get solutions, but it was incredible. I mean, most dreams, because the dreams actually were how do you say, embedded with anxiety. This anxiety of not being able to find solutions. And I would be like this kind of person who actually is in this wheel, or this small mouse in this wheel, trying, and I wouldn't find a solution for the problem. Yeah. So even, and the worst thing actually, the worst dreams I would have is actually, I would imagine sometimes there is a solution, a situation for software developers in which they are blocked. They have to solve a problem, they don't know how. It's a very common pattern, yeah? And you would try till like 12 o'clock in the night, try to solve the problem, and you couldn't make it. You would be exhausted. And go into this state of exhaustion, you're going to bed. What happens? Your dreams are really also dreams related to exhaustion. And you don't have a good sleep. So I learned the hard way, no computer in my room. I stop. I need to give myself at least 1 hour of mental rest before I go to sleep. Yeah. And this is a real kind of experience that I have. Also, another one that I saw is like, I had some family gatherings I'm from Portugal, and I would go to Portugal for dinner. And then all the young people, they would sit at the table, like, looking at their mobiles. Who doesn't know about this experience? Never had this experience? Yes, exactly. All the time. It's like, especially the young people, they're so hooked. Yeah. I'm an IT professional. When I am with people, I say, I don't want to see my computer. I don't want to see my mobile phone. Leave it away. Away. Because I want to be with people. I want to interact with them. I don't want to interact with my phone. Also, I find it slightly disrespectful. You go to a family party. You didn't see these people, like your family, for some months or sometimes a whole year, and then you are there and you don't talk to them. You're just looking at your mobile, and you can do that every time. So I think it's also, to a degree, it's not very respectful, and actually you're actually losing the connection with people. And why is this? It's because of all these addictive patterns, this stuff on social media, especially. And what is interesting is also the type of media that they are consuming. They are not reading scientific papers. Definitely not. They are not educating themselves when they are. What are they doing? What are they doing? They're consuming stuff on social networks, right? Social media. So yeah, I think internet is great. For example, if you are educating yourself, if you are, for example, you are interested in a scientific paper, you are trying to read it. That's quite a hell of a headache, by the way, to read scientific papers. Yeah, but it's very instructive. It's very good, but it requires a lot of effort because a lot of formulas there and stuff like that. Yeah. But they are not reading scientific paper. Perhaps like 1 in a million is doing that. The rest is actually hooked on social media. Yeah. So don't consume digital media in social spaces. That is for me like a no-go. Yeah. This is just a practical tip. In social networks, don't expose yourself too much. That's not a good idea in general. This is just general advice, really. For example, if you are going on holiday and on Facebook, please don't say you're going on holiday and you're going to be somewhere. This can be quite risky because sometimes you don't know who are these people that actually get these, these messages. So don't expose, very private details in social media because it is risky. It can be used against you at a certain point. So be very, very careful about that. Yeah, just do whatever is in some media. Really, I try not to do really much, not to expose myself too much, and also have a tight control of who your friends are in these social media platforms. Be very, very, aware that some information can leak out and it can be used in ways that you actually did not anticipate. Okay? And there's also another thing. When you are actually leaking information to social media, you are sending out signals to this recommendation engine that will target you with ads because of the signals that you're sending out. So be also careful about that. So beware, because very often people don't understand and they keep on posting, oh, this is my cat. And then what do you see next day? You see advertisement about cat food. Yeah. You have a cat. They figured it out. Yeah. Okay. Let's give this chap some advice, some cat food and stuff like that. And this happens the whole time. And so you get bugged by more advertisement because you actually just expose something about yourself. Okay. I won't go too much into this because of time, but don't overuse it. Don't expose yourself. Have a tight control of the people who are your friends. Yeah, you don't want some person you don't know really well. Just I got to know this guy yesterday, and he seems a nice guy. I'll give him my Facebook contact. You don't know who this person is, and suddenly he has also access to your friends. So it's not a good idea. Now, another thing, very important thing, because of this, what we said before about the anatomy of the soul, whatever we consume will affect our feelings. And so if I put a lot of garbage into my subconscious mind, I will have this odor of garbage in my emotions. You have to be very, very choosy about the contents that you consume in digital platforms. We tend to categorize here at Brahma Kumari's thoughts, and we say that thoughts have qualities, and we have like 4 or 5 types of thoughts. And you should also categorize in these 4 areas also the media that you consume. So let's start with the negative ones, and then let's go to the positive ones. So if content is really negative, and negative by negative I mean everything that's related to hate, violence, revenge, topics like this, addiction, racism, fear, sadism, all these topics, and even more nihilism also. So this is living doesn't make sense and all this kind of stuff. Discrimination, contempt, abuse, and lots of conspiracy theories are very, very negative. So if you actually detect this type of energy or this type of negative thinking in the media you're consuming, you should immediately stop. Because it will just affect you badly. And some of these things are really very sensationalistic and they attract your attention. Remember one thing, everything that's really negative is very, how do you say, stands out, always. It's always like that. It's like the same thing, someone is on the road, everyone is going by, and someone starts screaming, yeah? Something, everybody looks. And the same happens with social media. So there are lots of this type of content in social media, if you look at it, that is actually very negative. But if you see it, it will attract your attention in 1 second, the next second you just go away. Yeah. Don't consume it because this will have a very negative impact on yourself. Then, but the most of the content that people actually consume is not this so heavy duty, but there are lots of people that consume this stuff. Basically, be careful, be aware about this. There's a lot of hate speech also out there in social media. And because social media is this kind of media where there are no barriers or no controls very often. And for example, I can say racist thing on social media and it stays there. And nowadays, actually, these controls have been taken away by certain people in certain products in this area. But anyway, I don't want to talk about it. Then there's, but the most common category is actually wasteful stuff. Wasteful stuff is about gossip, mostly, to be honest. Also things like cat videos, they are kind of cute. I wouldn't say they are terribly wasteful, but actually they make you waste your time. But there is types of content which are related to escape into fantasy land or, yeah, into some fantasies. Basically, just are like, it's also like a waste because you don't learn anything there. It's just escaping reality. Also, what is very wasteful and can be also quite dangerous is also people who actually see ideals, people in kind of ideal settings. People are too beautiful or something like that the whole time. Actually, this also has an effect on yourself, you know, specifically beauty videos and stuff like that. If you keep on going, you start seeing a reality that's not a reality. And then if you compare yourself with this reality, because you can't beat everyone in terms of beauty or in terms of other things or wealth also, then you might start feeling really bad about yourself. So be aware of that. Then the other type, so you should avoid waste because waste burns your time. Negative burns your energy and your time. It actually destroys you in the long run and destroys also your relationships as an effect of that. But what you should consume is actually really useful content. There's a lot also of good content there. Finally, something positive. Okay. So you could actually learn new skills. There are lots of videos that, for example, demonstrate how you can build things at home or, you know, or you can also learn a lot of maths with YouTube videos, for example. And or you can also learn about recipes. That's also useful. Or for example, there are videos also related to sports, so you can practice sport and this kind of thing. This is kind of useful. This is nothing bad about it. But the best contents actually are also present on these platforms. There's so content about how you can meditate, how you can actually, or content about, you know, elevated qualities or lectures of really wise people talking about elevated human qualities, like really positive and uplifting content. It's also there. So basically what I want to say is actually that you should create this kind of internal judge that can immediately say, okay, this is negative, wasteful, oh, this is useful, and this is positive. And that you actually always choose the useful and the positive, and that you kind of have this discipline. If you have this discipline, it's okay. You can actually deal with social media, you can deal with these new types of media, okay? So very important, be choosy, be alert, have a clear idea of what is good for you and what not when you use this medium. Yeah, and finally, I would like to talk a little bit about this, my meditation for mental declutter. And this is like the final part of the lecture. And I created, didn't create it really. I got inspired by the 5 forms meditation, and I really liked it. So we have here at Brahmamari's meditation, which is meditation of the 5 forms, in which we go through 5 forms. We start off with the deity, then we go to a form of the wise man, who is actually Rama. Then we go to the worthy of worship form, which is the form of the idol that you can have in the temples, or form of the saints, something like that. Then we have the form of the angel. So then we actually visualize that form and we kind of feel the qualities of the angel. And then finally we have the perhaps most elevated and subtle form of all, which is the form of the dot of light, of the pure consciousness. And so this is the meditation of the 5 forms, which have the 5 forms. And typically we would cycle through these 5 forms and we would see ourselves in these 5 forms. And I really liked it, and because it was helping me to keep myself awake, because it's not a very static form of meditation. And then I decided to enhance it a little bit and also enhance it with an element of storytelling, because I actually like stories, and I think many people like stories, and kids also like bedtime stories. And I thought perhaps I should do something in meditation that is kind of entertaining, in which I actually don't fall asleep. Yeah, because one of the problems, if you meditate in the morning, are really tired from the previous day, and it's early, you are tired, and you feel sleepy, and gone. So I wanted to have a form of meditation that is fluid enough and active enough so that I actually am awake, and at the same time it kind of binds my focus. And so I took the 5 forms and enhanced it with a big story. Perhaps I won't have time to kind of go through all of it, but we can try it out, okay? And so this is a meditation that a stressed guy actually created to kind of calm himself down in the morning and to prepare his day, okay? Okay, so the first step of this meditation is actually the step of relaxation. You relax your feet, you relax the lower part of your legs, then the upper part of your legs, then your tummy, lower part of your back, upper part of your back, and you relax also your shoulders, upper part of your arms, upper part of the lower part of your arms, your wrists, your hands, and your fingers too. And you go back to your shoulders and you relax your neck, relax your mouth, relax your face, facial muscles. Relax also your eyes, your forehead, and all the muscles on top of it. And now I see a very beautiful being. You can imagine this being some deity, and this being is very beautiful. I look at the face of this being and I see a lot of happiness. A very, very happy and content person with a form of constant joy that is steady, silent, but very profound. This being also has a lot of love everyone. No grudges, no anything. Just absolute love for all the souls. And I see also an aura of light around the head of this being, because this being is so pure, doesn't have any desires, doesn't want anything for himself. He's free of all desires due to his immense contentment. And I see also how healthy this being is, extremely healthy and strong, a strong body. And I see also how wealthy he actually is. And with his wealth, I see also an immense generosity. A very, very generous person who would give everyone everything, but he's in such a state of wealth, also emotional wealth. And I also see that this being is in total harmony with everyone, with human beings, with matter, with the animals, and with the trees and plants and everything. But the journey goes on, and I see how this being goes and nears a temple. The doors to this temple, they open. And now I go into the temple, and he goes and stands there in the middle of the temple. And he doesn't move. He now becomes the worthy of worship form. He is now the one who always gives to others, the one who serves mankind, the one who accepts all beings, who respects all souls, who has the best manners, but also the one who has good wishes for everyone, pure feelings for everyone, and blessings for everyone. He showers blessings on everyone. The sole purpose of his existence is to bless everyone and to give everyone good wishes and to give love to the world. But the world keeps on going, and then he's still in the temple, and he sees someone in the temple. It is a devotee, and this devotee is a very genuine one. I will call him Brahma. This devotee is also full of love for the divine. He loves God. He simply is a total and faithful soul who loves God completely. He's thanking God for everything he has. And he has this deep desire of giving everything he has to God, of surrender. And whilst this big devotee is here, suddenly he has a vision. And he has a vision of a being with a crown, a being full of light, with 4 arms and 4 symbols in those arms. This being has a discus on one finger, he has a mace on the other one, a lotus on the other one, and also a conch shell on the last one. This is a being who has the crown of respect. He respects everyone and respected by everyone. And he also has all this jewelry around him, which is this incredible wealth. He has wisdom, that's the discus. He has the mace, which is the power over the mind, the complete control of his thoughts and self-sovereignty. He has the lotus, which means he's beyond all desires. And he also has the conch shell, which is the desire to serve mankind, the desire to elevate everyone. So he has wisdom, power, purity, and for all. And this vision says to him, I'm you, I'm you, I'm you, which means it is the future of the devotee. And then disappears. And the devotee is now in the night, but he has had the vision. He is now the traveler of the night. And the traveler of the night has faith. And this is his strength, his power, his anchor. And faith allows him to see what is coming. He knows that he will meet the Supreme at some time. And whilst looking on the horizon and looking for the Supreme, he sees a light on top of a mountain. And this is the light of the Supreme. And now he becomes the pilgrim, the one who will follow the light, the one who will stay remembering the whole time on his path the eternal light. And the pilgrim, that's us. The ones who actually are focusing on the light and being guided by the eternal light. Om Shanti. Thank you very much. The journey will continue.
Thank you. And thank you, Gil, for the wonderful talk and all the tools and tips given. You explore and give us quite a lot of wisdom about how to declutter from the digital. Thank you very much. Before we go, there's a few announcements. And next week, same time, same place, and the topic is the power of focus. Our Sunday morning meditations, it's online only, and timing for that is 10 to 10:45. Regular reflective meditations every Mondays and Thursdays, which is in-house, 7 to 7:30. Everybody's welcome on that. And based on this evening's theme, we got a book called Living in Freedom. It's very nice, available in the shop, so you can browse through on your way out. Once again, thank you very much for joining us, and have a safe journey back home. And thank you to all our online viewers as well to joining us. Thank you.